For takeouts, call 765-1900.
Sunny skies today with a high of 82 and a calm wind. Tonight, mostly clear, overnight low of 59. Sunday's weather, sunny and clear, calm wind, 82. Monday, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly sunny with a high of 83. Tuesday, mostly sunny and 81. Wednesday, sunshine and 84. Thursday, sunshine and 76. And next Friday, mostly sunny skies and a high of 77.
And currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street, we have 72.5 sunny degrees Saturday morning, August 24th. Welcome to Kevin's Sports Show with Pat Holland. I'm Kevin Callahan. Good morning, Pat. How's it going today?
Morning, Kevin.
And right away, you got to tell me to hit the button.
Right,
Pat.
hit the button.
Hit the button. You got to know how to hit the right buttons to start off. So how's it going this week, Patrick?
Good. Busy week with work, and look, this is my time where I like to get out of that, out of my head, and spend some time with you talking sports, which is obviously passion of ours.
Exactly. So. And Pat, it happened for the first time. You texted me yesterday. It wasn't in our little thing here as we prepared the show, but you said you were right about me, and you said you called it or you nailed it, whatever. In kind of a fun fact about to happen on Monday, Red Sox catcher Danny Jansen. As the Red Sox resume their game against the Blue Jays, Danny Jansen is batting with an 0-1 count for the Blue Jays. Catching for the Red Sox is Reese McGuire. Reese McGuire is in Worcester. Danny Jansen is on the Red Sox and is the catcher. Pat, what's going to happen here? It's 0-1 to Jansen, and Jansen's now the catcher. What's going on?
Yeah, and you had brought this up a couple weeks back, right? And at the time, I just... I wasn't even aware of it and didn't even know what the rule was, and I think he actually has an 0-2 count.
It's 0-1. It's 0-1.
You can't start with an 0-2 count, is what I read. So it reverts back to 0-1.
Oh, I didn't know that. All right, you know what? I thought I read a couple weeks ago it was 0-2.
Yeah,
and I was surprised to hear it was 0-1.
So the rule is you can't start with an 0-2 count, so it reverts back to 0-1. But obviously, Jansen is on the Red Sox now, and McGuire's not. So, and Cora came out yesterday. I think it was yesterday.
Yesterday, he made it official
that he would absolutely be inserting him as the catcher. So he will become the first Major League Baseball player in history to play for both teams
in the same game.
Yes. Now, obviously, it's a technicality because of, but it is what it is.
But when you look at when you look at the box score, many years from now, on BaseballReference.com, you're going to see Danny Jansen playing for both teams, Toronto and Boston, in the same game. And Jansen actually gets a chance to talk to his own pinch hitter because he'll be catching.
Correct. Correct.
The closest thing, and I might get the teams wrong, back when I was in the early 80s, Joel Youngblood got traded in the third inning of a game, and I think he was with the Mets at the time, got a hit. Got taken out of the game in the third inning, because he got traded, I believe, to the Expos, and the Expos were in Philly, hopped a quick plane, I think, from New York to Philly, got in to the game around the third inning there, pinched hit, and got a hit, and he became the first player to get a hit for two different teams in the same day. This is probably about as as close to that, but the first player in Major League history to play for both teams in the same game, adding a little extra fun, I think, to the Red Sox season.
And that'll be Monday, I believe. Monday
the 26th
versus Toronto.
And we should mention right now, our phone lines are open, 401-766-1240. We're opening up with some Red Sox talk, obviously. So 766-1240, what are your thoughts on the Boston Red Sox? A fun thing with Danny Jansen. However you can get into Cooperstown, into the Hall of Fame, and this will put Danny Jansen in the Hall of Fame. Now, he won't get a bust. They won't have a big ceremony for him, but his stuff will be there.
Oh, certainly, for sure. And those are those little tidbits that, most people like. You're certainly more in tune to it than I am. I used to get a kick out of going to games, and you see them put trivia stuff up and it's so dialed into specifics of this guy has the most home runs from this specific city in Delaware. It's like, well, of course he does, because he's probably the only guy to play in the. But so that's similar to this.
And when you're at McCoy Stadium, you when they ask the trivia question, you get to win a case of Coke. Compliments of the Coca-Cola bottling company.
That's right. Well, you used
not to give them any extra advertisement.
You used to be able to.
Used to be able to. I got my Paw Sox shirt.
I'm
still holding on to hope. But again, your thoughts on the Red Sox? 766-1240. So Pat, back to the Red Sox and away from the fun stuff of Danny Jansen, which we can cover again next week. We'll see how that at bat goes and the rest of that game. Sox lose last night to a good Diamondback team, that was in the World Series last year. I'll be honest, I don't know much about the Diamondbacks other than they are good. Tough game, and they sit 3.5 games behind the Twins, 4.5 games behind the Royals in the wild card. Never mind the 8 games they sit behind first place Yankees.
And I think Arizona is like 23-3 since the All-Star break. They're like the best team since the All-Star break, and they have 3 players that are hurt. That are probably 3 of their better players.
Is Marte one of them? Do you know?
Marte is one of them.
Yeah, because when I was he's I think their best player, but they got the center fielder. It was a McPherson, I guess. I think that's his name.
Yep.
Again, I'm not up on my
McCarthy. Yeah, he played.
Name, right?
But they were just talking last. I don't know much about him either, but they are young. Lavulo is obviously a great coach. It looks like we do have a call.
And we do have a call, 766-1240. And let's go to the phone lines right now.
Turn them up.
And who do we have on the line?
Good morning, Kevin.
Hey, Moose, how are you? Good morning.
Hi. Morning, Pat.
Hey, Moose, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks, sir. That's quite unusual, because I had completely forgot about this Jansen thing. I said, what are you talking about? What do you mean?
Well, that's what we're here for, Moose.
Yeah, that's why we're here, to bring you up to speed.
I mean, I looked it up, obviously, and it was a game that was suspended.
Correct.
And it had to be, I don't even know, any idea, guys, what the score was at that game at that particular time?
I'm so enthralled with the whole idea of Jansen playing, and I know the count is now 0-1. I forgot to see if what the score is of the game. To be honest with you, I don't know.
The reason why I bring that up, guys, is that years ago, correct me if I'm wrong, of course you have to have a 5-inning ball game to make it official,
right?
Where the home team bats at least 5 times, or the visiting team bats 5 times. But years ago, I think anything prior to that, if a game was halted because of weather, the game would be suspended totally, and they would start from the beginning.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I've said through the years, Moose, to people, I can't figure out when they just
0-0.
The score is 0-0, Moose, in the game.
Third inning, maybe second inning. It had to be early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do know that Jansen will bat for the Red Sox as well, so it's not late in the game.
You got to call up Reese McGuire to come in from Worcester for one pitch.
Yeah, they should. No, but with the suspended games, like it used to be, okay, we didn't play 5. And okay, so the game doesn't count and the stats don't count.
Out. Yeah.
It's wiped out, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, let's suspend the game. Let's pick it up from the 8th inning. Like from the 8th inning, why isn't Arena? So I can't figure out, Pat. I don't know.
The only way this can happen is because the suspended game continued.
Right.
If you had one by the old rules, then there would be no Jansen appearing in both
teams. Yeah, it's top of the second.
Yeah, it's the top of the second, so it's obviously very early in the game. Reese McGuire's down in Worcester. I almost said Pawtucket, old habits. So Jansen will obviously definitely bat for.
Toronto's coming into town after the very dangerous Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
People are kind of taking them like this. You better check your homework, guys. This team, people forget this team went to the World Series last year.
Exactly. I think a lot of people might fall into the category, I think, of Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling, Arizona Diamondbacks, and that was 23 years ago.
Wow. In a different time. So, and I think Lavulo
they've had the best record since 1 July in the majors.
Pat brought that
23-3, and Lavulo. They interviewed him last night, and he had said it. Last year was kind of like the math is a little bit different now. So they started playing their best ball towards the end of the season, and then really caught fire going into the playoffs. Whereas this year they've been on fire since at least a little bit before the end of June coming into July, and they haven't turned back.
And they lost one of their players, Martel, I think.
Marte just went down.
Marte, yeah.
But their offense is, I think they're the number one offense in the league right now. So,
I think the pitching is good as well.
Pitching is good. Yep.
And that's a tough division they're in too with the Dodgers. So they're the real deal. They're not just sneaking out of the division.
Sure.
San Diego's doing very well. Good offense this year. San Diego. Moose, you know who Torey Luvello's last coaching spot was, don't you?
He was with the Red Sox organization.
Yeah, he was Pawtucket Red Sox.
Sox.
Yeah, and then he went over to Arizona when Boston did not hire him, and I actually wanted him up in Pawtucket, up in Boston back at the time, and this goes back many years.
Completely new world going from the East Coast down there into the desert.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a new baseball game there. It's a new league.
So important.
Not as much pressure. You ever think about that?
Oh, that's
the pressure that there is on the East Coast as opposed to how soft and relaxed the game is out west.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
The market's completely different.
Yeah, Torey Luvello can go to Stop and Shop and go grocery shop, and nobody's going to know who he is down in Phoenix.
And not only that, the fans are relaxed. They're not as passionate.
Right.
I can't say as passionate, but not as they don't have that fervor in them. Like the East Coast, they're on you, man. You better do something.
Yep.
Very demanding fans.
They also have Mike Hazen, who is their executive vice president and general manager, is also from the Red Sox organization.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So they're bringing the East Coast mentality to Arizona, and it seems to be working for them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Bello kind of dug his own grave last night, so to speak.
Yeah. He had 4 consecutive starts in a row where he was doing well, especially his last 3. But last night, got himself in a little bit of trouble last night, for sure.
He had a different problem of getting off to a rocky start.
Yeah, you got. I said it last night. Walks plus hits equals recipe for disaster.
Yes, exactly.
And especially for a guy like him, and
his whip is high.
Yeah, he was just getting behind guys all night, and it was just only a matter of time.
I know if you guys played fantasy baseball. That used to be one of our categories. Whip.
Yeah, I do love the whip stat. I'm not a fantasy baseball guy. I am an APBA, a Stratomatic guy. I've done both games.
Yeah, Strat. Yeah.
But I was in a Strat league for many years.
Oh, that's great. My friend had a game, but we couldn't get enough of it.
It's APBA, very similar to Stratomatic as well. And
Kevin
we could go on
the
with
league.
Stratomatic. They go back from the greatest pictures. We used to select our own teams, our own players from teams.
Moose, I hosted an APBA league with my sons during the COVID lockdown, and we broadcast the games on Facebook Live. And we had 50 or 60 people watching us roll dice and look at cards.
What are these guys doing? Where did they get this stuff?
And Kevin did cheat. I'm sure his kids would call in tonight. Today and tell him that.
Hey, I won the World Series. I wasn't going to lose my kids.
Anyway, guys, I'm sure you want to go on. So I'm not going to.
Moose.
The Red Sox are. I don't know. If anything, they're resilient. That's all I can say.
Yeah, they got to bounce back. I mean, obviously, we got 35 games, I think, left in the season. They got to play over 500 baseball. They got to start winning series, but also taking series.
Somehow take the series.
Kansas City is now ahead of Minnesota as far as the wild card standings are concerned.
The good news, Moose, is the upcoming schedule for the first time in a month. They got the I forget the order, but they got the Blue Jays, the Tigers, the Mets, and the White Sox. And of those 4 teams coming up, only the Mets are 5 games over 500. The White Sox are the worst team.
It, guys. It's the Diamondbacks, the Jays are in, then out to Detroit and Minnesota for 6, and then the illustrious White Sox come in for.
But I wish for
by that time they've lost 100 games.
Moose, it's okay. Rich Hill looked phenomenal last night in Worcester.
No.
He pitched 2 innings,
somewhere between
2 strikeouts,
and 125.
And he maxed out at about 86.8 miles per hour on his fastball. So
a couple of weeks ago, we had Tyler Heatu from the Sun Chronicle on, and he tweeted out that Rich Hill looked like a number 2 Hockomock League pitcher in high school with his 86-mile-an-hour fastball.
That's being kind.
Right. Hey, Moose, always a pleasure.
Moose, thank you for the call. I really appreciate it.
With one thing, if I may, it has
absolutely.
Totally nothing to do with the Red Sox, which I'm so passionate about. Cora drives me crazy, you know that.
I know that.
But this is the best article I thought I read this year so far pertaining to sports, and it's about the NBA and one particular player. Any guesses who this particular player I'm referring to?
I'm going to say LeBron James.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. And it says as follows. This is from a column that was written the first week of July. It says, any player ever led a league around by its nose like LeBron James has done with the NBA? To the Lakers, draft my son Bronny and I'll stick around for the father not like son show another year. Please, please. It's not Bronny's fault.
Nope.
He's not good enough yet to play in the NBA.
No.
He might be someday.
Yeah.
It's the Lakers' fault for pulling off a little more than a marketing trick. Come see Junior play with Dad, even though we're still mediocre, and the LA fans will fall for it. End of article.
Well, I think ultimately, I think that's the reason why Danny Hurley did not take the job, did not leave UConn for the Lakers. I think wherever Danny Hurley wanted to go, he actually wanted to go coach, and I think LeBron is coaching that team.
Yeah.
And Danny Hurley,
he would have been driven mad if you go. His demeanor would have. He would have been probably committed to the funny house if he went out there to the LA Lakers, because that city's crazy.
Exactly.
Guys, thanks so much for your time.
All right, thanks, Moose. Have a great weekend.
Again next week. You
All
bet.
right, sounds good. Well, thanks as always to Moose for calling in. Very passionate sports fan. We want to hear from our friends on the other side, so we'll be back right after these messages on Kevin's Sports Show on 1240 AM, 99.5 FM, OneSocketRadio.com, and we want to hear from you as well. 401-766-1240. What are your thoughts on the Sox? We can touch on the Bruins. We can touch on the Celtics, the Lakers, LeBron James, anything else you want to talk about here on Kevin's Sports Show with Pat Holland. We'll be back right after this.
Radio.
Stress-free car shopping is what you will encounter at Tasker Buick GMC of Woonsocket. In stock is the latest Buick and GMC models like the Buick Encore GX, Envision, GMC Sierra 1500, Acadia, and Terrain. Tasker Buick GMC of Woonsocket has a wide selection of pre-owned automobiles. These vehicles undergo many point checks before going on sale. Plus, they come with a warranty and an AutoCheck certified history. Check out the entire inventory of new and pre-owned cars online at TaskerBuickGMC.com. Tasker Buick GMC, Thornton Drive, Woonsocket. You will be satisfied.
At North Smithfield Urgent Care and Lincoln Urgent Care, you'll always be seen by a board-certified physician who'll diagnose your minor illness or injury. Their services include treatment for flu, fractures, rashes, ITU infections, and work-related injuries, plus physicals, vaccinations, and drug screening. North Smithfield Urgent Care, Great Road, North Smithfield, and Lincoln Urgent Care, Wake Robin Road, Lincoln. X-ray and lab on premises.
Since 1948, their motto has been to give every customer the very best in quality service as well as attention to detail. And that promise continues today at Michaud's Auto Body, a modern 5-stall facility with the latest in technology. Michaud's Auto Body knows that following an accident, you need reassurance about the entire process, including reports, insurance, rentals, and more. Their promise is to give each person all that they are paying for, and then some. Michaud's Auto Body on Privilege Street, Woonsocket, 769-1983.
The world-class distributor of all things electrical is Electrical Wholesalers. They are a full-service electrical distributor with branches throughout Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. Locally, they're at 113 Clinton Street next to KFC here in Woonsocket, with other locations in Cranston and Franklin, Massachusetts. Electrical Wholesalers provides the highest quality service to electrical contractors as well as residential, commercial, and industrial customers. Electrical Wholesalers is open Monday through Friday, 7 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. Visit ew-ne.com. Electrical Wholesalers.
OM Radio.
And welcome back to Kevin's Sports Show with Pat Holland. Pat, remember to hit the button, so if you speak,
That's good.
everyone can hear you. So that's a good thing. I hit that button. All right, we're back. To finish up some thoughts, Pat and the Red Sox, and thank you, Moose, for calling in. I get torn with the Red Sox. I get all up for them when they're about a month ago they're half a game in front of the wild card, then they're a half game behind, then 1.5, 2.5. Now they sit 3.5. behind the Twins, 4.5 behind the Royals, but the Royals have a tough schedule coming up. Two of those three teams make the wild card.
Right.
Assuming either Yankees take first and the Orioles get the wild card, or the other way around. I'm about to kill the Red Sox because they got 12 blown saves since the All-Star break. And they're in the middle of this tough stretch. And if you have thoughts on the Red Sox and the rest of the season, 766-1240. But then they go 4-3 against the Orioles and the Astros, two front-running teams. And the bullpen, after blowing a game, goes 8 1/3 innings without giving up a run. So
it's
I
like
don't know what to think.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde,
Yeah,
right? And it's frustrating.
It really
I mean,
is.
they did play well against Houston
in
and
Baltimore. Right, 2-2.
And then you come
they
in
probably should have
knowing-
been 5-2. They
right.
really blew a game.
That
one out away. I think.
Jansen.
Yeah.
Right, with he gives up another bomb.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, they're giving up a lot of home runs.
Yes, they are.
Not just the bullpen, starters.
Is it Crawford that's had a
Pivetta
record?
I think Pivetta had given up at least 2 home runs in like 4 straight starts.
Well, Crawford had given up 13 over 4 starts.
I mean, that's obviously something. And you look at their starting 5, and it's like the fact that we're even where we're at,
right.
when you look at that on paper,
right,
is just mind-boggling. But
and this is the part where I'm torn. At the beginning of the year, we didn't have a show then, but if you had asked me at the beginning of the year to preview the team coming out of spring training in April, I would have said, I don't know, maybe not 70 and 90, but 75 and 85, 75 and 87, 77 and 85, in that 70 under 500. So now they're so in that sense, I'm excited that we're even talking about them here on August 24th, that they're in the wild card race. Yeah. They're not out of first place yet, but now they're 8 games out of first. All right, the pennant's probably out. American League East is probably out. But so they're overachieving in the sense of my expectations back in April.
Right.
But now I'm getting frustrated.
And we did have a show. It just wasn't on air with microphones.
It was the Hockey Night Nitro show.
It was in your above your garage.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, nobody thought they were going to be where they are now. And then even when we did in June, it was like, well, let's get to the All-Star break and let's see what happens. And so they're still in, at least in the running. They're playing up and down. They're winning series. Well, but now it's to the point where we got to start. I mean, they're 14 and 18 since the All-Star break, which isn't great.
They almost have to take 3 out of every 4 games, not just series now. 3 out of 4, and then with the stretch of games, sweep the White Sox.
Yeah.
They had a stretch of that 34-game toughest schedule in Major League Baseball, where I think they went 16 and 18. But now the Royals have a 20-game stretch, very similar to what the Red Sox had, obviously 14 games less. But, can they hold up? Can their pitching hold up? And can the Red Sox then take an opportunity to jump over these poor teams after the Diamondbacks?
I think the difference between Kansas City and Boston is their pitching is a little bit more established. Their bullpen is a little bit more established. Their starters certainly are, and they do have some great. They made a lot of nice moves last year. So obviously we got to see how it plays out. But this is the next 30 games is obviously. I mean,
it's the season.
Prognosticator of all prognosticators.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna find out over the next 35
These
games.
Next 30 games are important.
They're really important. It's like Derek Sanderson. The keys to winning the game is to score more goals than the other team, right?
And if you can name that game with Derek Sanderson's keys to the game, call in 766-1240. We don't have any prizes
I'll give
for
a gift
you.
card to somebody.
But we'll find something for you. But if you could say Derek Sanderson's keys to the game. Call in 766-1240. I'll never forget it. Let's just say it was an important game, but I want specifics.
So I've been starting to pay, and again, coming on this show now and working with you, it has allowed me to get more invested in this stuff.
Right.
So from a baseball standpoint, certainly the season's long, so I typically didn't pay much attention to the second half, but now, looking at like the Woo Sox. They're like 13-2 in the last 15 games. They called up the 3 young kids, Roman Anthony, Teal.
Kyle Teal.
Marcelo Meyer, who's on the injured list now. I think he had just come off when they called him up, and I think he's still has a lingering injury.
I don't think he's had in that bat yet with
Not
them.
yet. And then they call up this other kid, Christian Campbell, who they took, I want to say it was last year in the 4th round.
Right.
Out of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, all of a sudden, I see an article, should Christian Campbell be mentioned? Everyone's talking about the big three, and the article, the headline was, I think we should be talking about the big four. Would you like to tell everyone what Christian Campbell's done in his 3 games with the Woo Sox? He's a shortstop, by the way.
But he's playing shortstop. He's playing center field. He's a utility guy. But in his 3 games in Worcester so far, he is 7 for 15. He's batting .467. His OBP is 500. His slugging is .933. His OPS is 1.433. He has 2 home runs, which were last night, 9 RBIs. But on the
9
season,
RBIs in 3 games.
on the season, in the minors, he's played 99 games total between, is it Greenville? Portland,
Greenville's a high A.
Yep. Portland, AA, Worcester, AAA. So 40 games in Greenville, 56 in Portland. He's batting .344 with a .446 OBP, 587 slugging, 1.033 OPS, whatever that is. I know you know what that is. But he has 31 doubles, 18 home runs, 69 RBIs. He's walked 62 times. He's 21 stolen bases. He's been caught stealing 6 times.
Wow.
They're calling him, his teammates are calling him Barry Bonds. 5-tool player. So it's interesting.
Not too much pressure.
Not too much pressure.
Only Barry Bonds.
He's
without the
he's
steroids.
producing. Roman Anthony, I think since he's gotten called up, he's had a couple okay games, but he's batting .341. He has 2 home runs, 7 RBIs in 10 games. Those 2 guys are producing.
And you look at Kyle Teal as well. He's struggling right now. He's got 11 strikeouts, 32 at bats. He's only got 3 hits. However, when we had Bill Wanless on from the Woo Sox, a couple of months ago, we had brought up Kyle Teal, and it was mentioned. I pretty much a year ago to that date, he was finishing up his high school season, and
he's young.
From high school to Worcester in 1 calendar year, and all I could think of is. When the kids are coming up and they're playing ball, you're supposed to be wearing down in the fall, kind of like cooling down, like the cool down period. So here it is a calendar year later, and he just hasn't rested. And I think he might, and he's playing a catcher. He's a catcher, which I think is the most. I think everybody will agree. It's the most grueling position out there. So don't be down on Kyle Teal when the season's over. Like they may not call him up to Boston, or if they do, maybe just not play him.
Probably not this year.
Right. I'm thinking like one of those September call-ups.
They have
expand the rosters.
They have 3 catchers on the roster now.
And here I am correcting myself. It's not like it used to be. They don't just call up 15 guys. I think they can only call up like 3 to 5 guys. So.
And Roman Anthony hit a home run last night, and I know you're into all the numbers, but he hit a home run last night in extra innings. That was 433 feet with an exit velocity of 108.9.
108.9.
With a 30-degree launch angle. Again, I'm not a numbers guy. Kean could probably call in and talk us through that.
Tell us why that is so good. I'm not a big launch angle guy, or I do exit velocity. I am because I'm a big line drive guy. But launch angle, my kids are into launch angle.
I do see that all 3 home runs last night hit by these 2 players were both 30-degree launch angles.
So all right,
so there got to be something to it.
something to keep in mind. And an obscure fact. I don't know if you heard this the other day, and I feel like I'm all over the place right now. The St. Louis Cardinals organization, and before we go to our next break, but the St. Louis Cardinals organization at every level won on a walk-off. A walk-off home run in St. Louis, a walk-off sacrifice fly in AAA. A walk-off, I think, double and double.
A player.
A different player in each in a walk-off home run in Single A. On the same night, the Cardinals organization hit a walk-off home run at every single level.
Again, that's your tidbits.
I like my little tidbits, and So
2 other quick things. Aaron Judge, quickest player to 300 home runs this past week. He did far earlier than anyone else.
Yeah, he's the only one under 1,000.
And
I think he did 955 games. Does that sound right?
955 games, 3,431 at bats, which is 400 at bats sooner than Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
In 50 or 60 games.
I don't say this lightly. But Aaron Judge is a Hall of
he's-
Famer
for sure.
that you're watching
49
right
home
now.
runs last night. He's
If
on
he,
pace for 62 again.
if he were to retire right now, I think he's in. That's how I think dominant he is, and he's and defensively too. He's not just a DH doing it. He plays a good right field.
I'm not quite sure why pitchers are still pitching to him at this point. I mean, that's always been. And then Ellie De La Cruz, fifth player in MLB history to hit 20 home runs and steal 60 bases. A
He's from the
single
Reds,
season.
right?
From the Reds, Joe Morgan, Ricky Henderson, Ronald Acuna Jr. The other three. Ricky Henderson did it 3 times. So anyway,
That's why they need to bring back This Week in Baseball, because I don't think a lot of people know De La Cruz with the Reds, and a nice half hour of This Week in Baseball. Yeah, obviously won't be Mel Allen, but
the baseball bunch. Let's
the
get that
baseball.
back.
You got to bring
Little
people
Tommy's
back.
still around, right?
Yeah, I think
He is.
That's so funny. Johnny
all right.
Benches, he could
right.
host it and everything. Okay, so we'll be back on the other side. We'll probably switch some things up. Patriots are playing the Washington Commanders tomorrow night. Some good Patriots talk. Also, believe it or not, we want to get into if we have the chance, the National Women's Soccer League. And I can't name a player, but why do we want to talk the National Women's Soccer League when we come back? So hopefully we have time to hit that on the other side. We also want to hear from you. If you want to talk Red Sox, feel free to call in. We will talk to you about the Red Sox. 401-766-1240. We'll be back on Kevin's Sports Show with Pat Holland right after this on WoonSocketRadio.com.
First news, best music. This is ON Radio.
They can diagnose and repair just about anything at State Line Service. From tires and alignments and front-end work on all makes of cars and trucks up to 1 ton to smaller items like brakes, starters, struts, exhausts, radiators, timing belts, and high-speed balance. State Line Service is a third-generation family-owned business, up to date with the latest technology. They believe in clear, honest communication with their clients. No double talk, no pressure. State Line Service, 1209 Social Street, Woonsocket, at the State Line. State Line Service.
Featuring traditional dishes from Mexico to your table is Bandito's Mexican Restaurant, 2120 Diamond Hill Road in Woonsocket. Bandito's Mexican Restaurant is your go-to place for tacos, burritos, tequila, margaritas, and more. So today, when you're wondering where to get the best Mexican food in Woonsocket, remember Bandito's Mexican Restaurant. Banditos, with locations on Broad Street in Cumberland, Park Street in Attleboro, and soon in Pawtucket, is open daily at 12 in Woonsocket. Welcome to summer, and John Moran of AJ Moran Incorporated says now is the time to get those projects done that you've been putting off. Masonry, patios, walkways, hardscape, and landscape. AJ Moran will work with you to create the design that you want. Your web destination to contact AJ Moran Incorporated is ajmoraninc.com or search AJ Moran Incorporated on Facebook. AJ Moran Incorporated has been servicing Massachusetts and Rhode Island for more than 30 years. Contact John Moran at 781-267-6827. 781-267-6827. AJ Moran Incorporated.
This ONAM and FM weather forecast is sponsored by Inferno Audio for remote car starters and for copies of your car keys at prices far lower than the dealership. See Keith at Inferno Audio, 160 Clinton Street in Woonsocket. Visit infernoaudio.com. Sunny skies today with a high of 82 and a calm wind. Tonight, mostly clear, overnight low of 59. Sunday's weather, sunny and clear, calm wind, 82. Monday, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly sunny with a high of 83. Tuesday, mostly sunny and 81. Wednesday, sunshine and 84. Thursday, sunshine and 76. And next Friday, mostly sunny skies and a high of 77.
And currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street, we have 76 beautiful degrees out there. And welcome back to Kevin's Sports Show. I'm Kevin Callahan, joined as always by Pat Holland and the finicky buttons. And back. So let's switch things up. But if you do have thoughts on the Red Sox, we just spent about a half an hour on them. Feel free to give us a call, 401-766-1240, as they hit their home stretch. Pat and I were just talking off the air, something we've been wanting to talk for a couple of weeks now, but we're getting closer. Jeremy Swayman You may remember him as the Bruins goalie in the playoffs. The Bruins decided to make him the number one goalie when they traded Linus Ullmark. Here's the problem, Pat. Jeremy Swayman's not under contract. Well, he's not under contract, but he'll be back with the Bruins.
He's a restricted free agent.
Right, and what does that mean?
So, another team could offer him a contract, and the Bruins have the ability to match it if they want to. Nobody's going to step in and offer him what he's looking for, at least they haven't yet, and I don't think it's going to happen. I think looking at it, they have about $8.6 million
in the cap space. The only salary cap that we understand is the hockey league. So
yeah, the NHL. I think it was the NHL Network just came out with their top 10 ranked goalies. He's the 4th ranked goalie.
Okay.
Behind Connor Hallenbach, Ilya Sorokin, I think Vasilevsky from Tampa.
Tampa, yeah.
And then him. So Connor. Hallenbach just signed a 7-year, $59.5 million contract.
He also plays about 70 games a year, too.
Yeah, he's nuts. He played 60.
Only 60?
60 this past year.
I know he's hit 70 in the past.
So his average annual contract is $8.5 million. Sorokin signed an 8-year, $66 million contract. He is
Pat, I hate to interrupt. We do have a caller on the line.
We do have a caller.
So we're gonna go to that call right now.
Kevin.
And hello, you are on the air.
Hi, Kevin and Pat. How you doing?
Good. I'm sorry, who's calling?
John from Riverside.
John from Riverside. Thanks for calling, John.
Yeah, good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. What's going on?
I want to go back to Red Sox for a second.
Absolutely.
Last night's game. Well, first we used to talk about Patriots running up the score. How about last night? Top of the 9th inning, Diamondbacks are already up 10-2, and they send home a runner from third on a sac fly.
Ooh, I was out last night. The Red Sox do have that potent offense, and playing at Fenway Park. But I wonder if that's just Torey Luvello, the manager of Arizona, running up against this team that didn't hire me.
It could be. That could be.
I'm not a big fan of running up the score. 10-2. The game's most likely over. To me, it's not as bad as if they were trying to steal bases or they were bunting. Sack fly, that doesn't bother me as much. I don't know how you feel, Pat.
Yeah, I'd agree. These guys it's professional. They're professionals. It's just, that is the play, right? It's a sacrifice fly. You tag up, you score. I don't really care what the score is, but if you're playing small ball, running, bunting, squeeze play, stuff like that, then that's a little different. I missed the play myself.
Yeah.
I think by that time I had shut it off.
That's the problem with these blowouts, John. Sometimes you start to lose interest yourself, when it's 10-2, 11-2 in a game.
Exactly. I was just too lazy to change the channel last night.
Right. That's great. That's great. So, what are your thoughts on the Sox going down the stretch? Are you excited? Are you nervous?
Excited. This team's a lot better than I could ever have imagined this year. Like you were saying, but
at least they're engaging.
500 or less.
Right. Yeah. No. Right? Like Pat just said, they're an engaging team. They're fun to watch.
They're making you want to turn the TV on still, as opposed to going, "Oh, the Sox are out of it. I don't need to."
Yeah.
I'm sure Nesson's happy.
Yeah. No. We'll joke sometimes too, John. The Red Sox did their job. They got us to football season.
Right.
Yeah.
It held our interest. So, John, anything else on your mind?
Oh, the other thing I want to just throw out there quickly was Aaron Judge. He's got a decent shot at 60 again this year. He's up to 49 now.
Yeah, he's on pace for 62.
Yeah, he's on pace for his own American League record, right? Pat, you were looking at that up earlier.
I think he's at 49 home runs, and he's at 113 RBIs. Depending on the situation, I don't know why I'd be putting him on base.
Why? It's not walking him all the time.
He is crushing the ball. He's locked in.
If it wasn't for Texas's Bobby Witt, who's hitting about 350, 355, Judge would have a legitimate shot at the Triple Crown this year.
Wow, yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so he's about 20 points off the pace right now, and Witt, last I checked, was in the...
Witt's at 350, Judge is 333.
Oh, all right, there's still an outside shot. It's tough to get the average up this late in the year.
Right.
But he's got an outside shot. It's sitting about 17 points behind Witt, but... That's going to be tough for him to do, but he's going to lead the league in home runs for sure. RBIs, it looks like. Yeah, he's just an incredible player.
11 home runs ahead of Santander from Baltimore, and he's at 119 RBIs now, so he's 18 ahead of Jose Ramirez. So
he's got the home run and RBI
really comes
locked
down
up.
To batting
Easily
average.
get those two locked up.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything else, John?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you for the call. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye.
So
thanks to John from Riverside for calling in.
So for Swayman, I think Cam Neely came out yesterday and said it's going to get done. It's just a matter of when. Usually you see these RFA contracts. I think Pasternak had the same type of situation, and they signed. It was like the day that training camp opened up,
right?
Which is coming up. Rookies report September 11th. I think the other camps, the veterans, come in September 17th or 18th. But I would imagine they're going to get a deal done. He probably wants to be paid like these guys, although he is 4 years younger than Sorokin, and he's 6 years younger than Hollenbach. So,
and ultimately, that's why they traded Ullmark. They went with the youth.
Yeah.
I think they saw value in both goalies being about the same. The one knock, and I think that's going to be throwing this at him in contract negotiations, is he hasn't played more than 44 games in a year.
Correct.
And now they're going to want him to play.
And his numbers were better than, Swayman's 44 last year, 2.53.
Better than Ullmark.
And 916 save percentage, which was better than Hollenbach's the only one. I mean, Hollenbach had better numbers.
Yep.
But he led the league in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He was 933 save percentage in a 2.15 goals against. So, they got. I still question that. You let Ullmark go, but then you bring him back Corpusalo, who was not great.
Right.
And he's a $3 million cap hit. So my guess is they'll get something done. They probably want to get him in, I'd say between $6.5 and $7.5 million a year. They're probably going to get up closer to $8 million. I would imagine.
I think you're right. Ultimately, you mentioned 8.6 in the cap space. They probably want to leave themselves a little bit of flexibility. That's why they want to maybe get them down into the 7. I got excited this week. I'm like, Cam Neely speaks out on the contract negotiations with Jeremy Swayman, and basically he said what you just said. Yeah, we're not worried. Something will get done. So, and listen to the talking heads up in Boston a bit. They seem to think that there might be an issue between not Swayman and the Bruins, but Swayman's agent and the Bruins. I have no idea who the agent is.
I think his name's Jeff Gray. He doesn't really represent a lot of guys.
Okay.
I was trying to find out a little bit more information last night, but
So
but they could have gone the road. I mean, he was under arbitration control still, and they both opted not to go arbitration because last year it just played out.
Yeah, I guess Swayman got his feelings hurt last year.
Yeah, I mean, then that's what happens.
That's
right?
what happens in arbitration.
Yeah,
you ask for 6, they counter with 4.
And they bring up every
negative thing.
against you. So
and settle on 5.
I think it was good that they mutually agreed to both not go the arbitration route, and I think that they'll get something. They have to.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is.
Exactly.
He's the only RFA goalie out there.
Yeah.
Want to segue into the?
Let's take a quick break. We'll segue into our last segment when we come back on Kevin's Sports Show with Pat Holland on 99.5 FM, 1240 AM, WONSOCCERradio.com. We want to hear from you as well. 401-766-1240. So far, thanks again to Moose and John for calling in. We appreciate it. We'll be back on the other side right after these messages.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, ON is
Stress-free car shopping is what you will encounter at Tasca Buick GMC of Woonsocket. In stock is the latest Buick and GMC models like the Buick Encore GX, Envision, GMC Sierra 1500, Acadia, and Terrain. Tasca Buick GMC of Woonsocket has a wide selection of pre-owned automobiles. These vehicles undergo many point checks before going on sale. Plus, they come with a warranty and an AutoCheck certified history. Check out the entire inventory of new and pre-owned cars online at TascaBuickGMC.com. Tasca Buick GMC, Thornton Drive, Woonsocket. You will be satisfied.
A new garage door can have a major effect on the appearance of your property. When you're ready, call Andy Bebo at Woonsocket Door Sales, in business since 1935. Woonsocket Door Sales installs and repairs all makes of doors and openers, as well as broken springs and cables. Service includes installation and free disposal of the old door. Woonsocket Door Sales, 767-3448. Office located at 1 Biltmore Avenue, Cumberland. Reputation is important.
If you're celebrating a major event, regardless of the reason, Michael's Meats of Cumberland can elevate your next meal from ordinary to extraordinary with meats so good your guests will ask you where you got them. Tell them Michael's Meats. Michael's Meats is in the Walgreens parking lot on Mendon Road in Cumberland, just north of the Ciabro Plaza. They're open Monday through Saturday at 9 a.m., making your next meal truly special. Here's this week's specials at Michael's Meats.
Meats. We have boneless pork spare ribs for $3.88 a pound at Michael's Meats. Welcome back to Kevin's Sports Show here on 99.5 FM, OneSocketRadio.com, and 1240 AM WOON. Pat, let's do a quick transition. Something that you and I both talked about, and we talked about it at the top of the show. Why do we want to talk NWSL soccer, National Women's Soccer League? No disrespect at all, but I read the article yesterday morning on the Sun Chronicle, but it's national news. They just signed a new CBA, collective bargaining agreement, that was supposed to expire at the end of 2026, and this one goes to 2030. That's not the interesting part. The interesting part that I think could have ramifications across Major League sports as we know it, they are abandoning the draft, the college draft. They are the first professional league, men's or women's, to not do a draft. They're calling it outdated, and basically they do have a salary cap. I think that's important to this. But there's two big things that are in this new CBA. Everybody's a free agent. There is no draft. And if somebody gets traded, in essence, every player, in a way, has a no-trade clause. They can veto any trade. So if you don't want to go from New York to Vancouver, you can veto it. So I think the important things here are the salary cap. So you can't be the equivalent of the New York Yankees and just buy every single player, pay them a ridiculous amount of money, and leave a small market team in the dust. Am I reading too much into this, Pat, or could this eventually have some big ramifications down the line to football, basketball, baseball, hockey? What do you think?
It could. I think the big part of this is, right, the NWSL is, their viewership and their attendance has skyrocketed, right? So right. They literally just signed a new 4-year broadcasting deal. It was like $240 million. And then they've had teams now evaluated at, $250 million. I think it was Los Angeles team was sold and had, which is unheard of for a women's professional sports team now. So this gives the players the right to choose their path, right? So whereas every other sport we have in the U.S. is you get drafted and team owns your rights. Right. You can't go play anywhere else, right?
So you come out of Penn State, and as an example, and you are maybe not the most highly regarded player ever, but maybe you would have gone to, say, a third round. You contact an agent, and they start contacting the team. More work for the agents, I think. So now you start shopping your services, or do the teams?
In this case, it's more like you have a top collegiate player coming out and they don't want to go play for maybe it's a brand new team coming into the league, right? I'd rather say, well, I'm going to go play in Europe, and they've made that, as far as I'm aware, they've made that aware. They've made these teams aware of that. They've still been drafted by them,
right?
And they've just gone and played in Europe. So it gives the
players.
Well, it gives both the players the ability to basically create their own path, but it also gives the teams the ability to sign players.
So you think if I'm coming out and I sign and I go to Gotham, which is the New York team that you have tickets to, I sign with Gotham. You think it's got like a stronger hold? Instead of Gotham drafting him in the first round, they now have signed a contract with Gotham. If they get drafted, you see them potentially still going to Europe to play. However, now they're shopping.
That's what's happening.
That's
now.
what's happening. So by signing with Gotham, so they may be going up against Gotham and the Liverpool version of women's soccer in
Correct.
England, and those might be the two negotiating teams. Is that a possibility
Correct.
as well?
And they also have the ability to bring players in from Europe.
Under the same,
they've allocated more money to, European players to come over.
Okay.
So that's all part of this deal. But I think it gives players the ability to, basically create their own path. And hey, I don't want to go play for that team, so
Right.
I'm going to say no.
So it's interesting. I mean, you see it in the NFL right now. Brandon Ayuk would say, "I don't want to play for the Patriots."
Right.
But so they do have a little bit of say, though.
But he doesn't have the ability to go sign with anyone he wants,
Right,
either.
exactly.
Which in this case,
Yeah.
right.
So
Ultimately, and all of their contracts will be guaranteed, which
Right.
wasn't the case prior. So,
And I understand the vetoing any trades is common in European men's league soccer. So basically, the women's league is catching up to the men's league in Europe. And to be fair, women's soccer in the United States is head and shoulders above. I mean, they just won an Olympic gold. They win World Cups. Men's soccer does not win gold or World Cup. So women's soccer in the United States is above.
Has been above overall for
Right.
many years.
Yes.
European teams are starting to catch up quickly because they've grown their professional, both from academy standpoint.
Right.
See, over here we don't have a lot of academies for young players, which NWSL is now investing in. So the other part, which I wasn't aware of, is there is a new professional women's league. There's only going to be like four teams, maybe.
In America?
Yeah, that it's the USL owns it.
Oh, so it's like a minor league.
It's just starting up now. No, it's going to compete with the NWSL. They already have that system of. It's basically players can go and negotiate their own contracts now and.
So that's going to go like every other expansion league. Your USFL eventually, which now is fine being a minor league, but at the time, any of these leagues, WHA, ABA, eventually they'll just merge into the NWSL. You even see it in the WNBA. They had their version of the women's ABA.
Yeah.
And the ABA got absorbed into the WNBA. So
they want to set it up. From my first viewing of this, they want to set it up more like the European side, where these Gotham. Yeah, there is going to be a Boston franchise starting in 2026.
Any idea where they're going to play?
They're going to play. They're actually renovating White Stadium, which is near Franklin Park.
Thank you.
In Boston.
Yeah.
One of the investors, I think that the primary owner is the wife of Bob Epstein, who is a Celtics minority owner.
For how long, we're not
she
sure.
has a team that kind of went into this. So we're looking forward to that because it's a much closer drive than driving to New Jersey. But
sure.
Ultimately, I think they want to start to have these younger academies. Like maybe it's Gotham FC Academy, and they'll bring in these younger players from the U12, U14. And they grow them up.
And MLS soccer has that as well. They got their academy teams.
On the women's side, it was very difficult for younger girls to come in and play because, they couldn't sign a player. So there was actually a lawsuit. There was, I think, a 13-year-old who wanted to sign professionally. She was good enough to play, but the league didn't allow for it. So she sued the league, and she ended up winning.
Huh.
She ended up signing and playing. She's in the U.S. pipeline. So now there's a lot more there's a 14-year-old girl who just signed with Gotham.
Oh, wow.
This year. So.
And when I bring up, it could have a long-lasting ramifications. I don't expect next year the NFL to give up the draft system or the NBA. I'm talking years from now that without a draft and other leagues start to see this, more prominent leagues right now, money-wise, than the NWSL will, and collective bargaining agreements come up. I don't think people like the draft system.
Look at this.
Absolutely. It's going to be a nice little model.
The NBA already kind of.
Yeah, they only got 2 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 2 rounds, but you have players who are bypassing college altogether. They're going over to Europe, playing a year of pro, getting that one and done, then going into the draft.
Right. Well, they play out with the main red clause and the developmental.
You could probably, but you still have to go through the draft.
Right.
And
You're right.
I think
That's a good
there
point.
must be something to signing as an undrafted free agent. Like, there's no there's not as much money. You can't
Right.
sign an undrafted free agent for what maybe you would sign an undrafted free agent under this collective bargaining agreement, right?
Right.
So
Exactly. So
it's certainly something to look at. I know we've reached
Some
out
more-
to the NWSL to see if we can get to talk to somebody.
We'd love to
about
talk
this
to
a
her
little bit
about.
more.
Her name's Jenny, the media person.
Yep.
We'd love hopefully respond. Be great if they respond.
Yeah.
Maybe she's listening today. If you listen, hey, feel free to email us back. We'd love to have you on for an interview. In the few minutes we have left, I just do want to touch on a quick local issue. Bryan, football season starts today. The power conferences opening up today. I am personally, I'm not a huge college football fan. I like the sport of football. I will tune in and watch. As a Boston College fan back in the day, I'm hoping Bill O'Brien does good things with BC. But locally, Bryant opens up August 29th, so Thursday night at Delaware. A little bit I know about Delaware is they're a powerhouse. They have Bryant has a new quarterback, Jarrett Guest. He's a graduate transfer student from Coastal Carolina. And Bryant, my understanding is they're looking for to stabilize in their new conference. They're in the Coastal Athletic Association, and I believe it's their fourth conference in 4 years. They were in the Northeast Conference, then the Big South, then Big South Ohio Valley Conference.
Right.
And now they're in the CAA. And the interesting thing about where Bryant's playing now in the conference, they're going to go from 40 scholarships to 60 scholarships in the new conference. So, as the coach said, I had it written down. I'm drawing a blank on
Certainly
coach's
able
name.
to bring in more talent.
More talent, but it's going to take years because now you got the transfer portal, you've got people throughout the country, but they're able to offer more scholarship money, which should help the Bryant College football program. And interesting about this new conference is that they're in the same conference as URI. And URI opens up next Saturday at home against Holy Cross. So you got, Albany's in there, a couple other more local, but Bryant and URI in the same conference. Hopefully kind of gets marketed right, really hit, when we had the Rhode Island FC president saying, hey, we got a game against Hartford, kept hammering Hartford. Sure enough, they sold out.
Yeah.
5,000 seat stadium at Bryant. I'd like to see, Bryant URI. That could be one heck of a rivalry, a football rivalry. They're going to play once a year. I think only once a year. I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
At least, maybe twice, but once a year, home and home every other year. That could be a real big rivalry. URI has produced some real good players in the past. I don't know if Bryant has anybody in the NFL right now, but their season starts. We're going to touch on Brown football, and I'm not sure what happens in the Ivy League, but we got a full month to even mention
their first game. But
Yes.
I think Logan Menken's son is at URI.
Logan Menken's son's at
so
URI.
We'll have to keep an eye on him.
Absolutely.
I think there's one big game today. Florida State is playing Georgia Tech in
Yes.
Ireland.
That's right. They're in Ireland.
So Georgia Tech, I think Florida State's a 10.5-point favorite over there. A lot of money is being put on Georgia Tech. I guess they were great against the spread.
Yeah.
As underdogs last year, for what that's worth. Another local shout out, just real quick.
Yep.
Rhode Island Hockey Hall of Famers John Hines, who's currently the coach in Minnesota for the Wild, and then David Quinn, who's the associate coach at Pittsburgh, both being named as assistant coaches of the 2025 U.S. men's national team that will take part in the Four Nations face-off in February. That's being played in Montreal and Boston. So the NHL will actually have a shutdown when that's
Awesome.
being played. So congratulations to those guys. Two great guys. I know David Quinn had great success at BU, and then he's dabbled around the NHL a little bit, but he's a great coach, and John Hines has been around forever. So congratulations to those guys.
Awesome. No, and so many things. Thank you. Thanks for that. So many things we didn't get to. New rules. For Hall of Fame. Could Bill Belichick get in next year? Could Pete Carroll get in? I think Belichick deserves in. Does Pete Carroll deserve to be in? Hopefully we can talk about that a little bit more. The Patriots playing Sunday night this week. Next time there should be some cuts. There's no way the Patriots are carrying 4 quarterbacks a week from now at this time.
I don't suspect much will change Sunday night. I think it'll be probably similar to what we saw.
Yeah, I heard all
against
4 are playing
Philadelphia.
again. They are enamored with Bailey Zappi. I'm not getting why.
One piece of tidbit. Mac Jones.
Yes.
Who's down in Jacksonville, has had a pretty impressive preseason. 38 for 53, 421 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
And Moose touched on this without even knowing. it's because he's in Jacksonville. He would not be doing that well up in New England.
There are rumors that he was being he played a lot last night or Thursday night, potentially being moved to Minnesota.
Ooh.
Jacksonville just picked up a quarterback yesterday who played for them, I think, the year before or last year. So potentially Mac Jones could get moved to Minnesota because J.J. McCarthy went down. He looks good. There was a quote from Doug Peterson, who's in Jacksonville, that said he's looked great. Every now and then the Patriot way comes back, but we get him out of it real quick. So I don't know if that was just a quick jab from him again, but
he's been known to do that. So.
And then I don't think we touched base a little bit, but UConn.
Yeah. Possibly going to the Big 12. This is why everyone hates UConn.
In negotiations,
they can't figure out they're in the Big East
for all sports.
Right, for all sports. And again, friends of my son go to UConn. I love my son's friends. Yeah, great people, great parents. I just don't like the school. They can't figure out if they're in the Big East, Big 12, or where they're going. They're independent in football right now. They got to make up their mind and stick with it for the next 50 years. Thank you so much for tuning in to Kevin's Sports Show with Pat Holland. We truly hope you tune in next week as well on 99.5 FM, 1240 AM, OneSocketRadio.com. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we will see you next Saturday.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio